What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the KFS pregame show, and I am happy to say this for the first time, presented by our friends at WynnBET Sportsbook. Head on over to WynnBET.com or download the WynnBET app. They have a great offer right now. You bet 100, you receive 100. Bet now. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Knicks pregame show. The Knicks are back home at Madison Square Garden. They take on the rival Atlanta Hawks. As those of you who know me, I used to watch baseball, and I've had a lot of battles with Atlanta over the years. But tonight, we get to take on a team that the Knicks have actually handled very well in the regular season. We will not talk about a postseason series that happened 2 years ago, although that probably will come up a lot throughout the broadcast tonight. His name is XJ. His name is Mensa. Please follow them on Twitter. Their handles are in their nameplates and their picture. Guys, Knicks play the Hawks tonight. Trae Young is in the building. I wonder if fans will have anything derogatory to say about him. Before we fully dive into Atlanta and talk about the Hawks and how the Knicks can win this game and some of the strengths and weaknesses that the Hawks come in with, general state of the team, because it's been a while since all of us have talked. XJ, it's been a while since you've been on the pregame show here on the channel. And without fully going into like your reaction to the Cavs game, it's more of a like, where are you with this team? They're 3-3. I would argue they've won the games that they should have won, and they lost the games they probably should have lost. Where are you with this team? What's your mock level if you want to go there?
Yeah, mock. I don't know the mock level. I don't know the mock scale, but
to be honest, me neither. I don't know why I feel that.
It's like I could make one up.
I didn't want to say terror alert because
no, I got you.
That should be reserved for terror. You know,
reserve that. No, yeah. I mean, I think that we're about where I expected, to be honest. So I had the Knicks at 42 wins. We're 500 right now. Beat the teams that we should beat. Lost to the teams that you would have expected us to lose to. I mean, I'm not panicking. I love the process. I love what Brunson's doing. I love what Obi's doing when he gets on the floor. I have some questions about the Randall Sans. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I think things are looking good. Things are looking up. Things are looking kind of how I would expect them to go. So yeah, no panic from me, but I think maybe this brings a few people down to kind of like a more realistic perspective who are a little too high, in my opinion, on the Knicks. But otherwise, I think we're looking good, solid.
It's the good and the bad of New York City and what this market can do when this team in particular not even achieves anything, wins 3 games in a row. It's like, oh, the 90s are back. We're going all the way. Everybody's going to want to come here, build a statue to whoever just led the team in scoring in the most recent game. And then the next 2 games, we probably should have tanked. Why isn't Donovan Mitchell here? And the overreaction to both sides, somewhere in the middle, somebody's right. Mensa, you lean more optimistic than most Knicks fans. So I'm curious, where are you through 6 games of this season?
Yeah, I had the Knicks pegged to win 48. I thought they would go 48-34. So playing at a 500 pace, there's this Dennis Allen quote from when I think they lost to the Bears, and he's like, "They are who we thought they were." Like,
yes,
the Knicks, the Knicks are who we thought they were. They didn't beat Memphis, they didn't beat Cleveland, and they didn't beat Milwaukee, who are going to be probably 3 of the top 8 teams this year when it comes down to it. So. Like, what you really expect. On top of that, teams that are adding like a point guard to the mix, probably take a little bit longer because RJ has to figure out where he fits. Julius Randle has to figure out where he fits. Mitchell Robinson can't stay out of foul trouble, and we're still 3-3 with a chance. And we could right now we could be 4-2. I think we had a really good chance to win the Cleveland game. We let it slip away. So yeah, I've been encouraged with basically everything I've been seeing, except for 2 key guys, Julius and RJ. I've leaned a little more negative on Julius now than after like the first 2 games because I feel like he's getting back into some bad habits. But we can discuss that later. But yeah, I'm okay where we are. I can't say that I expected anything more from this team. 3-3 is a good place to be.
I can't disagree. The I can't get too upset about losing to the team I picked to win the title in Milwaukee, a team that won 56 games last year and does not look like they have taken a step back in Memphis, and a team that traded for Donovan Mitchell and looks amazing right now in the Cleveland Cavaliers. I can't really fault them for that. The Cavs have lost once this season. The Knicks, if anything, I'm more comforted by that third quarter and seeing Jalen Brunson play bully ball with Mitchell and the Knicks build a lead. The fourth quarter was a little more concerning, and that's game of runs here in this sport. I've leveled off. I'm okay with 3-3, and tonight might change some things if they lose to a Hawks team that's coming here after a pretty bad loss. I'm pretty sure the other night where Trey went 3 of 13 and was minus 29 for the game. They lost by 30 to the Toronto Raptors. So actually, I'll go to you first, and I'll specifically go to you because during our demo, for those who don't know, a trick of the trade, we did not just get together and hit live on YouTube and then we were good, right? We actually recorded a sample pregame show with some general offseason thoughts and some predictions for the upcoming year. And you hit us with some Trae Young takes that because I know they're rooted in so much data, I want to give you the floor. And as much as Knicks fans have turned this guy into a villain and he's just this guy that flops and he's short and he's not that good, you have a different perspective of Trae Young and how good he actually is. So I'll give the floor to you here.
I appreciate you giving me the floor instead of paraphrasing my take, because it could come out really bad.
I didn't. That's why I gave it to you.
No, I know you did. So my big hot take was that Trae Young is a better offensive engine, has been a better offensive engine for an NBA team than Steph Curry has. That doesn't mean he's a better offensive player than Steph Curry. That doesn't mean he's a better player than Steph Curry. Just like the year that James Harden won the MVP, he was a better offensive engine than Steph Curry was. Not because James Harden's better than Steph Curry at all in almost anything. But he's had a team on his back. And I think what a lot of people get wrong about Trae Young is that they talk about the shooting. He's such a great shooter. He's such a great shooter. He can shoot from deep range. Like, Trae Young's worst attribute is his shooting.
Yeah.
And you can see that in his stats. His main skill is his passing and decision making. When he gets in the paint, that's when he's the most dangerous. Either he's gonna do one of four things. He's going to hit you with the floater. He's going to spray out for a three. He's going to throw a lob, or he's going to get fouled from behind, probably the defender who's trailing him after the pick and roll. And he is extremely effective at that. He's consistently number one in pick and roll ball handler attempts. The last 5 years, I think he's been number one or number two. Was only unthrown by Ja Morant last year. And they're always in the 80th percentile in effectiveness for that offensive set. Just as somebody who drives an offense, who kind of is a heliocentric offensive player, Trae Young has been a top, anywhere from 5 to 10 player in the NBA the last 4 years. Now, this is really hard to say because he's really been bad this year. He's been awful. After 7 games, if you extrapolated that out, this would be his worst season in his career, including his rookie season. So he's been terrible this year. And, you just mentioned how he was against Toronto. That was a really rough game, but he's had a lot of rough games. His shooting's been off. I think that he's down to 37 percentile ineffectiveness for the pick and roll, which would be horrifyingly bad for a team that runs that so often. So he hasn't been good this year, but I expect him to turn it around. And I think that he's consistently underrated as an offensive driver of a team.
Well said. And even more so after leading that you think he's better than Steph Curry, which is word for word what you said. To then qualify with
you could quote me on that.
Yes, that if we did that, the Levitard thing where they'll put a picture of XJ and it's Trae Young better than Steph Curry.
Absolutely.
I have grown to respect his game, and no, it has nothing to do with the playoff series from a couple years ago. Weirdly enough, like you said, the shooting numbers, just we're not there. He scored a lot of points because he got some calls, but I also thought he broke down the defense very easily and got to the rim whenever he wanted to. I have grown to appreciate that ability that he has. And if anything, it's just like over for the league. We're looking at a 35-point season one year. If he ever has like a 48, 39, 90 season, you know? So I've grown to appreciate him offensively in the way that you remember how Peyton Manning was always considered like, all right, you got Peyton Manning, you've got an offense. You don't just have like a quarterback. This is in one player, you have a full-fledged offense.
I love that comp. I think it's a great comp. Yeah.
So that's how I look at Trey. Thing about those Colts teams, they also had no defense because they were just like, okay, go ahead, Peyton. You just outscore the other team. And it's where I don't know if his defense is ever. I hope his defense stays the way it is because the Knicks are playing him tonight, but he becomes a liability, and that's why I'm very curious what Jalen Brunson in that matchup does to him tonight, because the Knicks, after 3 years of not having somebody that could take advantage of Trae Young, should finally have one. I
just want to say really quick,
Jalen Brunson, go ahead.
Before Mensa jumps in, I don't think we're going to see that matchup. I think they're going to try to hide him on Fournier. So I think he would get absolutely punished by Brunson in the paint. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see DeJounte on Brunson. But
so do you think we get a lot of quickly tonight?
I think that depends on Reddish status. I don't know. Is Reddish out?
So we should say this for those who missed it late. Both Cam Reddish and Quentin Grimes are available tonight.
Oh, that changes things.
We'll get into the Knicks questions about tonight and whether or not what decisions get made over there. But we're going to see somebody get a DNP that has not been getting DNPs this year as far as like coaches' decisions are concerned. What about the Hawks intrigues you, Mensa? We talked about Trey. You can add on to that if you'd like. Is there any other element to them that intrigues you?
They're really bad defensively. I think that's the one thing that intrigues me. Dennis Smith Jr. had his coming out party against them, and Dennis Smith Jr. was 30 minutes away from playing in China. Well, actually, according to him, he was 30 minutes away from trying out for the NFL. But story short, 139 points the Toronto Raptors hung on them without their starting point guard. Mm-hmm. Like it's as underrated as Trae Young is offensively, because I do agree Trae Young is one of the two best offensive players in the NBA at any time. Defensively, he's unworkable. I wanna go ahead and say it right now, but the Atlanta Hawks will never win an NBA championship with Trae Young as their best player, because defensively there's nothing, there's just nothing you can do about it. And I, again, agreeing that he's the best offensive engine, one of the best offensive engines in the NBA in the regular season. In the postseason, when teams take away your ability, and then they really, as further down the line you get in the postseason, is the more your weaknesses become apparent. And Trae Young, oh my goodness, is he bad defensively? I think, personally, I'm like a closet Ja Morant hater, because I think he just doesn't try on defense, and he is even a tier or two better defensively than Trae Young. So a guy who does not try on defense is a tier or two better than Trae Young, who is just, wow, it's really bad. And the proof is in the pudding. So if there's anything that intrigues me about them, I guess positively, is honestly, I'm sorry, I can't even do that, because I have a fervent hate for the city of Atlanta when it comes to sports, because they stole hip hop from us. That's the first thing. And all of my happy sports moments have basically been robbed by by Atlanta sports, whether it be this year's Braves, even though I don't acknowledge baseball until Steve Cohen does something crazy. Exactly. And that the We Hair season being shut down completely by Trae Young was just okay, I don't like Atlanta. So, and I was down on Atlanta from the beginning of the season, because I thought they went all in for the wrong player. I think trading what they traded for a guy in DeJounte Murray, when that barely makes them a second round appearance, is going to backfire tremendously. So they kind of are doing what I expected them to do. I didn't expect for Trae Young and DeJounte Murray to work. They're getting their numbers, and the team is above 500, but you're still a terrible defense. And that was kind of what DeJounte Murray's calling card was supposed to be. He was supposed to come in and help them fix the perimeter defense. Lo and behold, they're giving up career nights to Dennis Smith Jr. and 140 points to a team without their starting point guard. So I'm actually really optimistic about the Knicks' chances tonight because I just don't believe in the Hawks. I don't think that John Collins wants to be there. Clint Capella is what he is, which is a good basketball player, but he can only be so good because he's limited. And Trae Young defensively is just an absolute nightmare. And if the Knicks allow Trae Young to hide on Evan Fournier today, we might be close to the end for Tom Thibodeau because you have too many guys on your team that can exploit Trae Young for you to just leave Evan Fournier in the game. But that's again for another segment.
It is, and it's why I'll give Tibbs credit. I think you're going to see some. This will be a conversation afterwards. If for John to have to defend if they don't switch Trae onto somebody that the Knicks can take advantage of, like I think Quickly is in the game a lot. I think you're going to see them try to switch RJ onto him a lot, at least on offense, as far as I was concerned. It would be. I think the strategy tonight should be to try and take advantage of Trae as much as possible. Like Reggie Bullock is not a Knick anymore because he was apparently so valuable defensively, which I shouldn't say apparently. He was very valuable defensively
Absolutely.
2 years ago, but couldn't take advantage of Trae Young, which, not to relitigate the Atlanta series from 2 years ago, if you just put Alec Burks in the game, that's a guy that could take Trae one-on-one. Yes, you lose a little bit offensively. Defensively, you actually get to take advantage of their weak league. Defensively, maybe Randall isn't trying to do every single thing. I digress. All this being said, I do think the Knicks will take advantage of Trae tonight because I do think that is a matchup Tibbs will try to exploit. And look, this is a team, the Atlanta Hawks, that have given up 136, 123, and 139 each of their last 3 games. They've only given up less than 100 points once, and that was game 2 against Orlando when they gave up 98. They are 24th in defensive rating on the year. Now, funny enough, they're like 4-factor splits, and some of their opponents splits as far as opponent percentage, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage against, attempts, all that other stuff is in the middle. So it's almost, XJ, how do you explain that the metrics as far as they're giving up a lot of points, but the percentages, teams aren't necessarily shooting that well against them. They end up scoring a lot of points.
Yeah, you have to look at pace as well. You have to look at the pace, and that's why you just I would look at efficiency numbers or rating numbers, basically measuring by 100 possessions. But I agree with all that. I think I just wanted to touch on one thing you said, Andrew. They really do need to take advantage of the matchup, and the way to do that, I think, is to have Cam play a lot of minutes. I think this is a Cam game because if you have Cam in the game instead of Fournier, who can Trae guard? No one. He is forced to guard Brunson, and Brunson's going to absolutely punish him. I think you let them off the hook with Fournier minutes, and I think that almost any time that Fournier is not on the court and Cam's in the court, I think the Knicks should win those minutes, to be honest, because I don't know who Trae can guard. And Mensa made the point, the only point, which is that as good as Trae is offensively, he's almost that bad defensively. It's the huge, the biggest push and pull in the NBA as far as greatness on one side and horrendousness on the other side. So I just wanted to add to that one point because I think Cam is the way to punish them. He's just way too long. They can't even try to pretend to hide Trae on Cam. So he'd have to guard Brunson, and that's a horrible matchup for them.
So
Cam Reddish revenge game.
I didn't even
yes, sir.
Factor that in. Bad job by me. I didn't even think of that. Cam Reddish against his old team. That probably should factor into this game. Mensa and I did this on Sunday for the Cavs game where we said the one thing that if this happens or doesn't happen, then that will determine whether the Knicks win or not. I didn't expect it to happen to the tune of 24 3-pointers made, but I pointed out the Cavs are number 1 in 3-point percentage on the year. They didn't take a lot of threes, but they make a lot of threes. Oh boy, did they make a lot of threes. So that would be our X factor that we said on Sunday. It sounds like we're saying the X factor for today. And we're going to try to do this before every game during this pregame show is decide one X factor that if this happens, the Knicks will win. If it doesn't, the Knicks probably won't. It sounds like taking advantage of the Trae Young matchup, however you can, whenever he's on the floor, is going to be the necessity tonight. Would you guys agree? Do we co-sign that the Trae Young matchup on defense is simple enough, but the Knicks, have a guy in Evan Fournier that can be a little just stand in the corner at times. Is that the matchup you guys are looking at?
Yeah, I would go ahead and say that if Evan Fournier plays less than 20 minutes tonight, the Knicks will win decidedly. If Evan Fournier plays 21 or more minutes, 21 to like 23, it's going to be a little foggy. 24 plus, we're probably going to lose.
XJ?
I totally agree with that. I think that's a great assessment. I would say the same. It's really going to be a function of Fournier minutes tonight, which is a weird thing to say. But I think there's another X factor for me, which is DeAndre Hunter. I think he's a critical X factor in this game. And it's really to what you just talked about, Andrew, as far as the 3-point shooting. The Knicks have been doing this pack the paint defense all season. I'm assuming they're going to implement it tonight. And that's, it works sometimes. It doesn't work sometimes. It didn't work against Cleveland.
Oh, it didn't.
And that's how you get roasted by guys like Dean Wade and Santi Aldama, is by playing that style of defense where the corner's wide open every time on the strong side. And they've been doing it all season. They got away with it sometimes. They don't get away with it sometimes. I don't think they're going to get away with it with DeAndre Hunter, who's shooting 44% from three coming into this game on almost 4 attempts a game. So I don't think it's a fluke. He's hot shooting right now. If they leave him open, he's going to look like Kevin Love did the other day. So that's one big X factor for me is DeAndre Hunter shooting.
I will add one more then. And I don't want to have the Randall Obi conversation every single time. This is just flat out a thing that's going to be a problem this year. Obi should play more minutes. Obi should probably just get traded so that way they can open. Somebody can take advantage and we can see what this is. I wish it was the Knicks that would do it and trade Randall, but this is the nature of extensions. Having said all of that, Julius Randle, as much as he is remembered for a very poor showing against the Hawks in the playoffs 2 years ago, he's averaging 23, almost 10 and 4 against the Hawks for his career on 44% from three from the field. So 50, 40, 81 for Julius from three. He gets up for these games. So I don't know if this is a continuation that we can expect, if regular season Randall against the Hawks is like regular season Verlander or non-World Series Verlander. I don't know how to explain it, but Julius gets up for the Hawks. I don't know if that gives you guys any more confidence that we can get a Julius game, an efficient Julius game tonight. Maybe he'll hit a couple of threes that he takes. But that's at least something I would pay attention to, that because it's the Hawks, maybe Julius reverts to his career numbers against this team, but I guess we'll see. Okay. It's time for Betting and Sweating, presented by our friends at WynnBET. This is the WynnBET website. This is the Knicks matchup against the Hawks tonight. Again, if you missed at the beginning of the show, head to WynnBET.com. That's what this is right here. They are as soon as you sign up and bet 100, you win. You receive an extra 100 to play with as well. It's WynnBET.com, or download the WynnBET Sportsbook app today. The Knicks are currently favored in this matchup against the Hawks at -2. It was 1.5 last night. I am surprised that the Knicks. Should I be surprised that the Knicks are like the favorites in this? I'm actually a little shocked that the Hawks aren't at least like -1 in this. Am I off on that, XJ?
I think you're off on it. I think the Knicks should be a bigger favorite. And actually looking at the line kind of made me reconsider, like, what am I missing here? Because like I said, Trae's having the worst season of his career so far. Obviously very small sample size, but he's been horrible. And without Trae kind of leading the way, I think the Knicks can really dominate this game, because if he's gonna give you all of his negatives on defense and none of his positives on offense, this is a bad Hawks team. So I think the line's good. I love this -2 line, but I have to really look through and see how this game goes and see if I was missing something.
So Mensa, what about you? Have you already taken advantage of the line being what it is?
Not yet, but I'm definitely going to bet Knicks -2. I think that the Knicks kind of are the better team. We haven't gotten killed by anybody this year. We played everybody tough, with the exception of Milwaukee. But how do you play a team with Giannis Antetokounmpo tough? And then on top of that, we have a power forward who likes to score points. And if you look at what Giannis did and what Pascal Siakam did against these very same Atlanta Hawks, and what Julius has done historically against the Hawks, we can say that Julius is in for a good night tonight because of what's happened historically and what's happened like in the last week. And they're not a good defensive team. And the Knicks play you like the Knicks haven't dropped the ball, I would say, all season. With the exception of the third quarter in Milwaukee and the fourth quarter in Cleveland. Like we played Memphis very tough. We were in the game pretty much. We were in the game for like 65% of it, and then we didn't get crushed by Milwaukee. And then the same thing with Cleveland. Everybody else, we played well. Charlotte, we probably should have done better against them, but they played everybody tough this season. And the Hawks have had letdown games. Like the Hawks, I think did they lose to Detroit? And losing to a Toronto team that they should have beat because they're healthy and the other team wasn't. I think that we can count on the Knicks' consistency tonight because they've been consistent over 6 games, and we can count on the Hawks being bad defensively. And we are good right where they struggle because they struggle guarding power forwards, and we have a guy named Jalen Brunson who will roast Trae Young if the Hawks so dream of letting Trae Young guard him.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to betting and sweating. XJ, let me go through some props. Let me show off WynnBET for everybody before we actually get to everybody. First, we get to some player props. The Evan Fournier line for tonight is 11.5. Go down to Jalen Brunson. It's 17.5. Julius Randle, 19.5. I'll get back to that. Get back to that later. RJ Barrett's 20.5 for total points. He's done that in 3 of his last 4 games, right? That's why that line is like that. Am I missing something?
I'm not positive about that.
That's why I'm confused that RJ Barrett is at what he is. Like I would have thought that they would have needed more consistency from him for that to be where it is. I'm pulling it up now.
No,
RJ Barrett,
15 points against Cleveland. The last 3 games before that, 20, 22, and 20.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a 20.5 points for RJ. I guess they're factoring in the Trae part of this, that maybe he'll end up on there.
It feels like they're trying to figure out who Trae is going to be guarding.
Yes, that's literally what these lines are. Okay. So let's just go through this real quick. So RJ's total rebounds are 5.5. Mitchell Robinson's total rebounds 7.5. Julius Randle rebounds 9.5. Then you get to Brunson assists. That's 6.5. Those are the Knicks lines for tonight, just for bleeps and giggles. DeJounte Murray total points 20.5. He's averaging 20.5, I think, a game this year. Oh man. Okay, so Trae Young is 28.5. I was hoping it was 28.3 because Atlanta loves things that are 28.3 apparently. So he's averaging 29 a game this year, so that's why that line ends up like that. Some other props, some 3-pointers if you want. Well, so you have the combos option too. So Mitchell Robinson points and assists. These are the lines for that: 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can do Randall points and assists. Looking at 25, like I said before, he's averaging 24. Let me go back to it again. He is averaging 23 and 10. So it's right at the line. Well done, WynnBET. That 25 for Randall plus 105 is. Oh, it's player points and assists. Never mind. I forget I said that. I misread that. That's a bad job by me, everybody. Reading is fundamental.
What do you think it was?
I thought it was points and rebounds that they had at 25.
Points and rebounds. That would have been money.
Everything. That's why I was confused. This is where you find some of the second unit guys. So points and rebounds for Obi. Okay. We have 1 minute to talk about Obi Toppin. If they ever gave us over at WynnBET, maybe I'll reach out to our contact there. If they ever gave us a per 36 for Obi, I would hit every over possible. And it's like in the 13 minutes he's going to play, he will average 22 points, 17 rebounds, and 11 assists, and maybe 7 blocks while we're at it. Point being, these are some of the second unit lines as well. Here's points and rebounds for Randall. So 30 is... There we go. So 30 is minus 110. 35 is plus 220. That's a much fairer line. Okay. We have stalled enough. Guys, what are you thinking for tonight? XJ, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so for me, I'm really hitting on what I talked about earlier. I think DeAndre Hunter's going to have a big game. It's kind of easier for me to go with the player props for the Knicks opponents because I know how they're going to play defense, and I feel like their defense is really conducive to specific events happening that you can kind of bank on. Whereas it's really, I don't watch the other teams as much, obviously, so I don't know how they're going to guard. With all that being said, I'm hitting the DeAndre Hunter points over 13.5. I think he's probably going to have like 18 points or something today, maybe like 3 or 4 threes. And I think if I can see that on the screen, it's minus 125, right?
Minus 125. So it's 100 to win 180.
Yeah, so I think that's a sure bet. So I love that one.
Technically to win 80, but math 100 plus 80. So yeah, so you're at DeAndre Hunter minus 125 over on 13.5 points. Mensa, your pick for tonight.
I like not Trae Young. I like Jalen Brunson to hit 2 threes. That's at plus money. I think it's like plus 110 on WynnBET.
We'll find it.
I like it because high points total. Jalen Brunson
plus 115. But that is 2 threes. So it's 2 plus 3s.
Just to hit 2 threes. Yeah, I quickly went through Atlanta's opponents' game logs, and yeah, guys are scoring a lot of points, including point guards. Cade Cunningham lit them up. Again, Dennis Smith Jr. lit them up. Everybody's lighting them up. So I don't expect Jalen Brunson to be the one guy who doesn't hit 2 threes against them, especially because he can shoot it as long as he's open. And I expect the Hawks to have some scrambling defense moments, especially when once Trae Young gets beat defensively and they have to collapse and the ball starts moving around, I expect Jalen Brunson to hit some threes. So just to hit 2 at plus money, I'm taking that every day.
So let me add Sean's in real quick. What he's going with is the Knicks minus 0.5 in the second quarter. It's 105 for the game. So he's taking the Knicks to at least win the second quarter. So it's at least to win the second quarter. Minus 105. And after going through these, I'm feeling a little froggy, guys. I might have to jump. I'm going to go. It's a Julius game. This is going to be our first Julius game where we get to the post game later and we're like, you know what? Obi only played 9 minutes, but Randall had it going tonight. So it's okay. I'm going to go. This might also be something you guys can use as a gambling strategy. I'm 0-6 this year on these betting and sweating props. So I'm very much in the red. I've not gotten one right yet on a bet that I've guaranteed. So if you want to fade Claudio and that's your gambling strategy, go right ahead. I'm going Randall over 35 points and rebounds tonight. I think we're looking at 25 and 13 tonight for Julius if he gets it. So Randall over. This would also get me very back into the red. Into the green, I believe, if I'm able to hit on this. This is 100 to win 23-17. So that's our betting and sweating for tonight. Again, head over to WynnBET. Bet 100, win 100. Use WynnBET's website, wynnbet.com, or use the WynnBET app and play right along with us on your phones. Guys, any final thoughts before the Knicks take on the Atlanta Hawks?
So 2 thoughts from me. One is I want to point out Dirty Dancer's comment, which is I'm noticing XJ just bet on Randall to get cooked every game, which it would be a good strategy. So
yeah,
it's not necessarily what I'm going for, but that works too. So this is a comment on this game, but it's also just a general comment, something I wanted to bring up. 538, the website 538, just dropped their 1 number impact metric for the season. Called Raptor. It was just published for the first few games. So it's a super small sample size, but I just wanted to kind of look at what we're seeing so far. I'm going to give you guys a couple guesses as to where some Knicks rank in Raptor on the team. So who do you think, again, this is a measurement of impact. It doesn't care about counting stats or any of that stuff. Who do you think leads the team in Raptor? Both of you.
Hartenstein.
Jalen Brunson.
So Jalen Brunson leads by a mile. I should have added it's a minimum of 95 minutes. I don't think Hartenstein qualifies, but he probably would be up there for sure. But Brunson leads by a lot and is actually top 15 in the entire league with a 6.8 Raptor right now. So again, super small sample size, but Raptor is a very reliable impact metric. And who do you think is the lowest on the team if you would have to guess.
RJ.
Is this your question and it's Julius Randle?
I mean, if you feel like the answer being Julius Randle is a trick question.
Well, no, the whole segment started with by the way, Randle gets cooked every game.
Julius Randle is the worst on the team in Raptor with people who qualify with the number of minutes, minus 4.2 Raptor. He's bottom 40 in the entire league with anyone playing over 95 minutes so far. His restricted area shooting percentage that we cited on, a few games ago plummeted from 77% to 57%. He's sustaining his process where he's not taking mid-range jumpers, but his efficiency has dropped way down. There's only two ways you can be efficient in this league: get to the free throw line or hit threes. You can't be efficient without having at least one of those. He's not doing either. Nope. And I'm fading the Andrew line tonight. So that's the last thing I want to say about.
Well, this is why I said it's the first time we get this season, because the process is there.
Yeah, the process is there. The process is there. I hope you're right. The last thing I'll say is Obi is second on the team in offensive Raptor and continues to have an amazing impact on the offensive end every game. So we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't have 9 minutes tonight, but we'll find out.
Maybe we'll get to 10, XJ. Mensa, any final thoughts before we head to the Hawks game tonight?
Final thoughts, more general. Well, two things. The Knicks and Tom Thibodeau needs to stop playing around and remove both Mitchell Robinson and Evan Fournier from the starting lineup. I think the Knicks would benefit from having Isaiah Hartenstein as the starting center and Emmanuel Quickley as the starting two guard, especially on a night where you're going to look at Trae Young and say you're either going to guard RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, or Emmanuel Quickley. Pick your poison. And I just think that Hartenstein gives you the spacing necessary, especially because Brunson is so crafty around the basket. Like, he needs that space. And with Mitchell Robinson in the paint, mucking things up, yeah, he'll get the offensive rebounds, but it kind of hurts the offense. And I think we will see that tonight, depending on how many minutes both Mitchell Robinson and Evan Fournier play. And also, Obi Toppin needs to play. If you look at the Knicks' two main guns outside of Brunson, you're looking at Barrett and you're looking at Julius Randle. Both of those guys currently struggle with getting easy baskets. The name of the game is to score easy baskets, and that's all Obi Toppin does is get easy baskets. He's either shooting open threes or he's dunking on somebody in transition. That speeds the game up, that boosts your offensive rating, and whatever you're sacrificing on defense, you got two great centers defensively. Even if you're playing Mitch or you're playing Hartenstein, those guys are excellent at the rim, so you're either going to have an inefficient guy on the court or you're going to have a guy who can score 20 points in his sleep. So I really want to see the Knicks in a game where they're favored not by a lot, do smart things and give Obi Toppin minutes, take minutes away from Evan Fournier, and give some more minutes to Isaiah Hartenstein. I think the split needs to be 20 for Mitch and 28 for Isaiah Hartenstein, bare minimum going forward, until Mitch decides he doesn't want to foul people anymore. So I do like the Knicks to win, but it's all based on – here's what I'd say. I don't think the Hawks can win this game. The Knicks will either win it or they will lose it. I don't think the Hawks can win.
Only pushback I'm going to give, I agree that Hartenstein has been better when he's been in the game, and Mitch's foul issues are just that, issues. They're just so much better defensively when Mitch is in the game. And Hartenstein, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is not, I mean, he hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't been, a positive on the defensive end this season. And as far as Mitch is concerned, if he does fix his foul issues, I don't know if I can justify your $60 million center playing 20 minutes a game, right? I understand you'd probably space the floor easier, but this just is the nature of how the Knicks are built. They have one dunker spot center, and then they have other guys that aren't great shooters taking a bunch of shots. But that's the only pushback I would give. I agree on, listen, I'm in the Quickley should at least start so we could see what this is camp. I'm glad that we've seen Quickley close a lot of games recently. He's averaging, I think, 23 minutes a game. And that was always my thought, is that keeping Fournier in the starting lineup allows for there not to be an issue if he doesn't close games, which it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Quentin Grimes and with Cam Reddish tonight. But, we'll find out what happens. I just said some stuff. So any other things before we get out of here, guys?
Well, one place I mean, I strongly agree with a lot of what Mensa said, especially the Fournier stuff. One thing I agree with, though, is that I think we should see a lot more Brunson and Hartenstein together, because I do think having that interior open for Brunson to operate and work down there, I think it works a lot better than it does with Mitch. And so if there's a way they can stagger those minutes a little better, I think that's something that we could see the Knicks kind of squeeze out a little bit more of an advantage on. But yeah, that's the only thing I want to add.
So I'm going to add one more thing and bring our WynnBET screen back up. So remember when I said that it's 100 to win 23-17? This is why we do things multiple times to get it right. This is the parlay. Yes. So if you wanted to bet on all 4 of our picks tonight, that parlay is plus 23-18 for tonight. As far as straights are concerned, this is what our win totals are to be. This is going to be a screenshot that we send out later. Again, thank you to our friends at WynnBET. We're looking forward to many other possibilities later on in the year, or at least the next couple of weeks. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the KFS pregame show. We do this before every Knicks game. Stay tuned after the game, where John Mack will break down, hopefully, a Knicks victory over the Atlanta Hawks. I'm sure if it's not a Knicks victory, that there will be rational takes and none at all emotional takes coming through the super chats and even the regular chats after the game. Thank you to Mensa. Thank you to XJ. Like I said, follow them both on twitter.com. Their social media handles are in their name tags. I'm Andrew, GMAC. Follow me as well. And until next time, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let's go, Knicks. Knicks Nation. Let's ride.